Hey y'all, Big Tim here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Old School Bass of Big Tim. Today we are fishing the Ohio River for the Kentucky Bass Nation Tournament out of Craig's Creek. Got a new partner today. His name's Courtney. He wants all covered up because he likes to be private.
I don't like being cold.
So hopefully we're going to go out and catch some fish. We've had a lot of rain last week. It's muddied up a lot of these creeks. Main River looks good. These are just my glasses to keep the wind out of my eyes. Let's go see what happens. Kind of winging it today. So hopefully it works out. Well, little did I know how much winging it we will be doing. I knew that the storms that we'd had through the week had muddied up a lot of the creeks, but being a local, I knew there were places I could drive my truck on Friday night, go over and see which creeks were still fishable, which were clear, and everything else. And I was actually shocked to find one of my favorite creeks that I hadn't fished all year long yet was still clear. And I was real shocked by that because this creek normally, with 2 drops of rain, it seems to muddy up. But it was clear, basically from the mouth all the way to the back, and I was shocked by that. So I had that in my hip pocket. But I also knew that the main river was clear, and that I could go out there with a crankbait and probably scratch out 5 fish for 5 pounds, but hey, it was at least a limit. And that's kind of what I was thinking I was going to do. But we got another curveball thrown at us. Even though it was clear when we launched and blasted off, headed up the river, you could see a major fog bank coming down the river. So I wasn't going to mess with fog, so I ducked in the first creek that I could find, and us and about a dozen other boats, and decided to wait the fog out. Which, even though the creek was busy, we had a bunch of boats in there, it was still a good choice because what I didn't know at the time, and you will see later, there was a giant log drift, basically about at least 5 or 6 miles long. It started at about Bryant's Creek, a little above Bryant's Creek, and went all the way past Big Bone as far as I could see. And basically the wood drift was in the middle, in the main channel of the river, and you could run either side, but you couldn't cross. And had I ran that in the fog, who knows what I would have torn up. But was real happy that we had ducked in that creek, and it kind of worked out for me too.
On your buzz tone?
Keeper on buzz bait. I think it's keeper.
Oh, well, I don't know.
And I got him in my hand. I don't know.
I agree with you.
I think he's 12 and a half. Oh yeah, he's almost 13.
Good.
Thank you, Lord. And they eat it in dirty water too, but clean water is generally better.
Oh, shoot, I might get.
Now this was missed opportunity number 1, and watching the video, a lot of people are probably going to think this is probably a bluegill that bit me, but judging by the swirl that the fish made to come and get my bait, because I'd actually cast a little shy, and I saw a swirl come at my bait, and saw a flash, and I had him for half a second. When I set the hook, I brought about, I don't know, I brought his face out of the water up to his eyeballs, I guess, so I could see it was a bass. But I just never hooked up to him. In fact, the hook had never penetrated, and I have that problem a lot in the spawn. Some people have said it's my rod, and it could be, but you know, a lot of times I'm using that double extra heavy. I don't know that it is the rod. In this case, it could have been, but missed opportunity number 1.
Buzz bait?
No, I turned him. I got his head out of the water. I turned his head.
He just hit it again, didn't he?
Oh man, I missed him again. There you are. Finally, the fog lifts and we're able to run up to another creek. On the way up, we see the major log jams that we were talking about, and also notice that the main river has muddied up overnight. So there goes my river bite. I decided to scrap that instantly and ducked into another creek that I practiced in and caught a few fish in. And even though it was busy, I kind of knew that this creek has a tendency not to really produce well early in the morning. It's more of a late morning, early afternoon bite in that creek. So I hung out and had several opportunities.
Amazing how anybody can see your life if you want them to, you know, if you want to. What you got there, Tim? That's number 2, isn't it? Yes, it is. That's a good freaking fish. You want me to get him?
Oh, I got him.
Why do you keep taking all my keepers, Tim? Hey, you need some pliers?
No.
Nice job.
Old guy still can catch them every now and again. That's good. That fish is up there spawning. I seen it moving.
Did you?
Yeah.
There you go.
What I do with my bag of stuff? Did I put it away or not?
I don't know.
Did I let it blow away?
I'm gonna let them think.
Now this is missed opportunity number 2. And what had happened is Courtney got hung up. And when he came up to the front deck to free his lure up, I got a bite. I didn't get the bite until he was already up next to me. And I'd ask him, probably not as politely as I should have, I said, I'm going to need you to move. And he moved instantly. No problem there. But by the time I was ready to set the hook, the fish had already let go. These fish were giving me about 3 seconds to set the hook, maybe less. This is missed opportunity number 3. I had actually seen the fish move in the water. I seen just a little tiny little wave in the water, and when I pitched over to it, I saw the flash. I actually saw the bass. You could tell it was a keeper. And he flashed toward my lure. And I actually never felt him. I set the hook on instinct. So I don't know if he actually had it or not. And I actually kept pitching in over there, hoping that he would come and get it again. But never did feel him. I tried a couple other baits and just never seemed to work out for me.
Oh, he stabbed.
I missed 2 fish sitting here. I haven't buzzed and I've missed 2 fish.
Because that hurt.
Those deer fly are vicious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
Get him in the boat.
And he hit my tail.
Slow down. Slow down. Swing him in. That's definitely a keeper. That's bigger than anything I got.
That's the 3rd bite on that buzzbait. You're right.
So I really didn't get good video on the way up the river to show you the log jams and drift and everything else, but here it is on the way back down the river. And you know, this is later in the afternoon. The wind had kind of pushed some of it to the side, and of course boat waves and everything else. And it's not as bad as it was in the morning, but you can still see there was a lot of debris out there on the main river. I had opportunities today that I just didn't capitalize on. It could have changed the outcome. Well, I definitely had opportunities. You know, I actually feel like I had opportunities to really do well. I don't think I had enough to win the tournament. Our old friend Richie won the tournament with just over 8 pounds, and I don't think I had enough to overtake that. But I do think I had enough that I could have finished third, maybe even second. I don't know. But everything kind of worked out. You know, I ended up finishing 7th. I had 2 fish for 275, which it's really low weight. I would have really expected to do a whole lot better, but it is what it is. That qualified me for the state championship coming up in October at Rough River Lake, so we'll probably be going down to that. You know, it was a really tough tournament, and you saw I caught one of my fish on buzzbait. Everything else that bit was biting that little Strike King baby rage bug. I've really fallen in love with that bait. I was throwing green pumpkin, and they were hitting it pretty decently, but they would set it down real quick. Also, Courtney ended up, I think he ended up 2nd in points. So his fish that he caught weighed 2 pounds something on the buzzbait, and he ended up making the state team. So I was real happy about that. Our old friend Greg, he also finished, I think he finished 3rd in the points. So the top 4 were automatically on the state team, so real happy for those 2 guys. And we'll all be going down to the state championship at Rough River Lake. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you the next time.